Hey y'all, how y'all doing today? Um, Welcome to the Factory Podcast. This is the Tea Factory Podcast. So today we are going to be talking about Belle Collective reunion, and I do apologize. It's been, I don't know, I think it's been a week now since the reunion aired, and here I am making making my video for the reunion. So I do apologize that it took me so long to do to upload this video. Um, but here we are. Thank you for your understanding. And then if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and go ahead, like the video, and also comment, let me know what you thought about this reunion, what you thought about the season. The season was really short. I mean, it was 7 episodes, and then this is season 6, episode 8. So the 8th episode is the reunion. So, and it was a one-part reunion, which it needed to be one part because nothing happened. There was nothing going on. So I would have been pissed if there was 2 parts to it, you know? So basically, all in all, was 8 episodes. So it was really short. I don't know what they got going on over there on OWN, Carlos King, Kingdom Reign Production. I don't know what they have going on, but this is really was a short season for Belle Collective, and the girls didn't have any storyline, other than what Amanda revealed about the DMs, and that ended up being the storyline for the season. Outside of that, it was nothing going on. So let's go ahead and get started. So housekeeping, copyright disclaimer under the Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. There is allowance for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Okay, and all commentary is in my own opinion and alleged and for entertainment purposes. So we're gonna start this this reunion rather, excuse me, starts with with them filming the reunion in it looked like it was Jackson, Mississippi, because sometimes they'll go out of state, to either LA or Atlanta or New York, but this looks like it was in Jackson. So we're gonna start off with the fashions. So the fashion for Carlos King. Now, I like the suit that Carlos King had on. It was like a light green, almost like a sage teal green. It was a pretty green. It was a light shade green. I liked it. He looked nice. And he said on his podcast on YouTube that he shaved his hair bald, or he's wearing his hair bald now, because normally he has that spray. I believe he gets that fake hair sprayed on like the top part of his hair, and the rest of his bald. So he was having a spray on for the longest, and that day he had the spray hair. But he said that he's letting the spray go and is just gonna wear his hair bald, as he should, because it seems like he doesn't have any hair. His hair is receding. His hair is bald, and you could tell that he was wearing a spray, like a spray hair. So, living your truth, honey. So, so I like that. That now though he's wearing his hair bald, but in the reunion episode he had his sprayed hair. But anyway, but he looked nice. And then the first person that comes out is Letitia. Letitia, I didn't like what she had on. She looked a hot mess to me. And I'm not saying, okay, when I first started watching Letitia, I used to like Letitia. She was one of my faves. But after this season, I'm done with her. The way she acted this whole season, holding everybody and their mother accountable, but Glenn, and how she made herself look like a joke and embarrass herself. And I'm not feeling her anymore. So I'm going to try not to be bias in my review, but I'm done with her. But anyway, this right here and this for fashion, I didn't like what she had on because I didn't like the split. I think the split was too high. If it was gonna have a split, it should have had like a small split on the bottom. And it seems like every single reunion, her dresses have splits on them, and she always looks uncomfortable when she's sitting down because she's trying to cover her split so it does, so you can't see her underwear or you can't see anything. And I don't know why, for someone who's big, why they would put her in a dress that is has such a high split. It just, she looked uncomfortable. She looked like she was stuffed in like a stuffed turkey, and I didn't like that blue on her. I just didn't like that dress on her. And I didn't like her makeup on her eyes. I saw that Freedom was there. Freedom is a makeup artist in Atlanta. He does Nini's makeup and he does Drew Sidora's makeup. So it looked like, you know, Letitia had him there to do her makeup. I don't know if she had him there or Carlos had him there to do some of the staff makeup, because I don't know if Letitia could afford him, because Freedom, you know, he's not cheap, and he does, like I said, he does Nini's makeup and stuff and other celebrities. And I don't consider Letitia a celebrity. I mean, not really. I mean, she's on OWN and Belle Collective, but Belle Collective does not have the ratings and the view of other shows, especially Roa during their heyday, you know. But anyway, so I didn't like the crystals or whatever it was on her eyes that they put. But all in all, I didn't like her outfit. I didn't like how she looked. So the next person is Latrice. Now, Latrice, I feel like she looked nice. Her hair was nice. Her makeup was appropriate, and it was nice. It wasn't too much. And then the dress, I loved it. The dress was amazing. It looked nice on her. She's tall and skinny, and not trying to body shame anybody in my previous comment, but she looked nice. Latrice looked nice. Then the next person we have is Tamara. Tamara's dress was okay. It was just like something you can find at Macy's or Dillard's. It was nothing spectacular about it. Her hair was how she normally wears her hair. Always looks like that. And so she looked basic. She looked like how she normally looks in her scenes, except that she had that loud ass blue dress. I don't know why they all had, not all of them. Letitia, Marie, Tamara, and Selena had this loud ass blue color on. It was okay, but it was just too loud. I really didn't care for that color. It was too loud of a blue. They could have gotten something a little bit lighter, in my opinion. So Tamara didn't look any. Tamara looked basic to me. Excuse me. And then the next person that came out was Marie. Now I like Marie's dress because it had the little, stuff on the side. Like I said, because Tamara's dress was just basic blue dress. It was strapless. Okay. And her hair was how she wears it every day on her scenes. So she just looked normal. But the dress that Marie had on, it was blue, but it had like stuff going on. So I liked her dress. I like Marie's dress. I like Marie's hair. I like Marie's makeup. So Marie looked nice. Um, and then the next person we have is Selena. Now, Selena's dress, I didn't like it. I didn't like the peekaboo on her breast area. It made her boobs look like they were going to explode. Um, they looked like her boobs were just in there squished in, stuffed like a turkey again. She looked uncomfortable to me, and it looked like it was going to explode. I didn't like her dress. Her makeup was okay. I liked her hair. But Selena's a beautiful woman. I think they could have dressed her up better. They could have had her in a better dress, a better color, and she would have killed it because she is a beautiful girl. But that right there, in my opinion, I did not like Selena's look. And then last but not least is Carrie. Now, Carrie, I liked her dress. It had a lot going on, and it was, had a train, but still, I liked her dress. I didn't like her hair. Her hair could have been pressed all season long. Her hair it needed a hot comb. It needed silk press. It needed to be silk pressed. And even on the reunion, it needed that. And her makeup could have done better. Her makeup looked like it was an amateur person that did it. So the only thing I liked about Carrie was her dress. I didn't like the makeup or the hair. So to round up, the best dress is Latrice, Marie, and I guess I would have to say Carrie. I like the dress. So Latrice, Marie, and Carrie. Okay, so Carlos asked Marie. Well, he talked about Marie and Latrice getting along, and he said that it was nice to see them getting along, and it's been a long time, since they've gotten along because most of the season most of the time they spend the time fighting, and in my opinion, it's not gonna last long. Latrice and Marie getting along is not gonna last long because Letitia and Latrice are not fighting. So since they're fighting, in my opinion, Marie is going to take Latrice's side. I believe in the next season, and it's going to get nasty between Letitia and Latrice, and especially from the threat that Letitia gave on this reunion, I feel that Marie's going to choose Letitia's side, and it's going to get nasty between Marie, Letitia, and Latrice next season. That's my opinion. I believe that's what's going to happen. And so their relationship is not going to last long. So Latrice said that, so Latrice told Carlos that she never had any deep issues with Marie. And she's enjoying being friends with Marie and getting along with Marie. She said that she's enjoying this part of Marie. And Carlos asked her what side of Marie is that. And she said the part that has a man. The part that has a man. She was like, I enjoy this part of Marie. I like this part of Marie. And he was like, what part is that? The part that has a man. Yeah, so she's right, So the Marie seems to be happy because she's back with Cedric. So she's enjoying life. So she's a lot nicer now because, the D does a body good, like Carla said. So, but like I said, in my opinion, it's not going to last long. But hopefully it does last because I do like them getting along, but we're going to see next season what happens. So then Carlos tells Letitia, he said, you're the one who started the collective. So what's the status of the Belle Collective right now? So Letitia says she does not feel safe in the collective anymore. And he asked her why you don't feel safe anymore and who do you blame for that? I felt like that question was a setup question, like Carlos, you knew what she was going to say, but you went ahead and asked that question anyway. But so she says she blames Latrice for not feeling comfortable and safe in the collective anymore. And so Latrice says she's not responsible for anybody. She doesn't owe her an apology, and she doesn't know why she feels like the way that Letitia feels the way she does. And I agree with Latrice 100%. Latrice does not owe her anything. Latrice does not owe her an apology, and Latrice, it's not her fault that she feels the way she does. She needs to be taking that up with Glendale. Now, I did say at the very beginning when they showed us the DMs that Latrice should have told Letitia. I said she should have been the one to tell her, and she should have. But since she didn't, and here we are, I don't believe that is all Latrice. That is Latrice's fault, and that she should hold Latrice accountable the way she's holding her accountable instead of holding her husband accountable for his actions. She says that her husband owes her that, and the fact that she keeps blaming Letitia at this point is like giving a fake storyline, So it's like, okay, so you're seriously blaming Letitia for what Glenn has done instead of blaming Glenn. And then Letitia's like, I'm not going to argue with you. She tells Letitia that. She's like, I'm not going to argue with you. And then Latrice says, she's like, she's right. I'm not going to argue with you. And she says, argue with your husband. She tells her to argue with her husband. She should. She's going to talk about, I'm not going to argue with you. You're right. Don't argue with her. Go argue with Glenn. Go argue with your husband. And she's just sitting over there looking like not trying to body shame her, but you know those buffaloes in Montana. You know Montana is known for having those buffaloes. She over there sitting like a damn Buffalo Bill, talking about she feel uncomfortable because of Latrice. Girl, shut the hell up. You need to go talk to your husband, and if you're gonna stay with him, then this is the thing. If she's gonna stay with Glenn, that's her business. But don't sit here and say you feel uncomfortable, you feel unsafe, you want to argue, you want to fight with these women when you don't have the same energy for him. So just let him cheat in peace, and then be quiet and just talk about something else and go create another false narrative. So Carlos asked Tamara about the safe space for her because Letitia was saying she don't feel safe anymore. So Carlos was kind of being messy. So he was like, Tamara, how you feel? And Tamara answered him was like, yeah, because she didn't feel safe in the collective once before because Marie and Letitia had did some foul stuff and went behind her back and was trying to dig up some dirt on Tamara and bring that on to the show. So Letitia has the nerve and the audacity to say what she said when she has done some shady cricket stuff on the show herself. And she is dirty. And she's about to show us how dirty she is next season because she's already gave us a preview of how dirty she's going to be. So this is why I'm not fucking with Letitia anymore. Like I said, I used to like her, but now, no, she just. Mm-mm. So Latrice says that Letitia says that Latrice is rejoicing in her pain, and she's over there rejoicing in her pain, and she's laughing or whatever. Now, unless she was doing something that we didn't see, unless she was getting up dancing and doing the moonwalk or doing the MC Hammer dance, because I didn't see her rejoicing and I didn't see her laughing. So I don't know what Letitia was talking about. But unless she was doing something that they didn't show us that they cut off, she was over there dancing like Michael Jackson or whatever. I don't know what she's talking about in terms of her saying Letitia was rejoicing in her pain. But then Latrice says, she tells her, you know what, you're such a great actor. You're a great actress. And she says, Carlos, you should find her, you should find her a movie. And you should let her star in one of your movies or one of your shows because she's such a great actress. And I unfortunately will have to agree with her again because I don't know what she's talking about. You over here rejoicing in my pain. She wasn't rejoicing. She was just speaking and talking, and she was just sitting there. I didn't see her jumping up and down doing anything to indicate that she was rejoicing. And like I said, maybe she did do something that they didn't show us, but from what I could see, it didn't appear that she was rejoicing. Letitia just wants to be the victim so bad and wants to wear this badge of victimhood. And it's like, woe is me, and I don't like that. Then they talked to Carrie about saying that Jackson was ratchet. So Carlos asked her, you said Jackson was ratchet. Is Jackson ratchet? And she says that she stands on that. She stands on saying that Jackson was ratchet. And then Tamara looked like she was upset about her saying Jackson was ratchet. So Tamara's like, look at there's like a picture of Jackson on the wall because I don't think it was looking out the window. And she's like, what's that right there? She's like, that's Jackson. Pretty much like, how you going to say Jackson is ratchet? And then Carrie said, some of you all have said it's ratchet. Some of you all have called it ratchet. And then Tamara's like, yes, we can say that because we're from here. But other people who are not from Jackson can't say or call Jackson ratchet. And that's what Tamara was telling Carrie. And, but then Carrie was like, listen, I understand what you're saying, but, I love my state. I love my city, and, she basically shut her down. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I'm still Mississippi down, you know. So that was that. So move along. So then next, Carlos is talking about Tamara, because he's like reading the prompt. So Carlos is like, next we have the midday diva. She made her man get two jobs, and Tamara didn't like that either. He was like, next we have the midday diva, and she made her man get two jobs, and she looked upset and confused, and she's like looking around for the camera, like, I know you're not talking about me. And so they show the scene with Tamara and Devon going to the financial advisor, And Carlos asked Tamara if Devon was if he was if he was broke, and she said no, he's not broke. He just mismanages and mishandles his money. And I felt like, damn, all season long, Tamara wasn't even there the whole season. Barely saw anything. And then the one thing that she talked about on the show, it was about Damon's money, and so that was it, and that's it, and that's all. Like, this whole season was weak. Nobody gave anything. And she was looking around like upset, but girl, that's all you gave us. You didn't give us no other storyline. So what else was Carlos about to bring up? He could have brought the baby up, but the baby was on there for a second, and she was just being a baby, not doing anything. So basically, Tamara didn't give anything this whole season. I mean, technically, she doesn't even need to come back next season. She can go ahead and stay home. I like her, but she didn't bring nothing to the table. So then, as they were talking about financial stuff, Carlos asked the ladies if they would have any joint accounts with their men. Um, so Letitia is going to say that she has a joint account with Glenn, and then she also has one, by herself. And she said that the first season, when Glenn left her, she had no money. She only had $4 to her name, and she said that she wasn't even able to buy herself a hamburger. Okay, so back then, y'all was fighting. He left you with no money. And then now this season, y'all fighting with him. People being in people's DMs. At what point are you going to stop letting Glenn make a fool out of you, Letitia? Like, every season he does something. I understand you trying to hold on for your family's sake, and I understand you trying to not let anybody come between you and your husband, and you may never want to leave, and you want to just put up with that for the rest of your life. That's fine. That's your business. That's fine. I have no problem with that. The problem that I have is you coming on here trying to pretend that you're some kind of woman empowerment, and you have these brunches, and you follow girl code, you're a girl's girl, woman empowerment, self preservation. You try to preach all this stuff, but you don't practice what you preach. So you can't sit here try to set an example that you don't follow yourself. If you want to stay with Glenn and his bullshit and the shit and the trials and tribulation that he's taking you through and continues to take you through, that's fine. But do not come on here trying to pretend something that you're not, or try to have conversations with women about empowerment when you don't show that. You have to show that. And I'm not for families getting broken up. But what I am for is for a woman to know her self worth. For a woman to know her self worth, and for her to walk away when a relationship is not serving, it's not serving her, and it's not serving the purpose, or doesn't have a purpose, and it's not serving her, it's not uplifting her, and the man is no longer respecting her. And that's what I see in your relationship with Glenn. I see someone who doesn't respect you, who's not in love with you, and I see a marriage that no longer serves you. If you want to stay in that marriage, that's for you. That's fine. But do not get on here and throw these brunches and talk about women empowerment. Matter of fact, throw away all the damn brunches. Throw away all the dates. Throw away all that bullshit, because it's just a bunch of bullshit. That's the part that pisses me off. You don't even know your self worth. You over here, um, this man had left you with no money. You had $4 to your name, and you couldn't even buy a hamburger, but yet he's sitting right next to you on season 6, episode 8 reunion. 2025 reunion, he's sitting next to you. Make it make sense. Irritating. Um, so then Carlos asked Tamara when she's getting married, and she said she doesn't know. And she said, didn't we just start talking about financial responsibility and finances? So basically that means no. She's not getting married no time soon. Tamara's the type of woman that knows her self-worth. She's opposite of Letitia. Opposite. Tamara knows her self-worth. Tamara has a baby with him. She can be like, oh, I want to marry you for the baby's sake. But she's not doing that. oh, so the baby can have two parent household. What's the point of having a two parent household when there's no love and there's no respect and there's no self empowerment, self worth? What's the point? It doesn't. There's no point there. You're still a broken home. It's still a broken home. You're just sitting in the same household. But anyway, so Tamara, she's the type of woman that knows her self worth, and she's not ready to marry him, and she's not going to marry him until all the ducks are in a row of what she wants to see in a relationship. And I don't blame her. So then the guys come out. Carlos asks Cliff if he has been coming home or if he's been staying at the condo. So now, like I said, now at this point, now the men have came and they're sitting they're sitting with the women. And Cliff says that he's been coming home, and he said that he listens because he doesn't want to hear Latrice's mouth. So and then Latrice, co-signed and said yes, he does come home, and he does listen. So all in all, things are pretty good in their household. So next, they reflect and do a flashback on Marie trying to figure out if she wants to date the white man or if she wanted to date Cedric. And I feel like the white man was a fake storyline. His name is Martin. And I don't believe that that was a real storyline for Martin. I think they just threw him in the oven, okay, with the rest of the BS, okay. Um, so so then Cedric. So obviously she chose Cedric. So Cedric's there, and everybody was happy to see Cedric. Cedric gonna open his mouth, his country ass mouth, and say, I forgot what Carlos asked him. I think he asked him, what was going on with their relationship now or something. But he's gonna say that Marie needs to submit to him, and he wants a woman or a wife that submits. He said that he is the king of his castle. He said he is a king. He has his own. If he's gonna be with Marie, Marie's gonna have to submit to him. And everybody's face was like, especially Tamara, she was like, oh, hell no. Like, they were all looking like, I know you're lying. And they were all making expressions. So then Marie said that she doesn't mind or have a problem because Carlos asked her, how does she feel about him saying that she needs to submit to him. Marie says she doesn't mind or she doesn't have a problem with submitting to said. However, she doesn't, if she doesn't trust him to lead, then she can't be submissive. Marie said that he needs to respect her, and he has to be able to lead, and then she will be submissive. Now, Carlos asked the men what if they liked, if they agreed with what Cedric said, and then if they liked their women to submit. And he asked Cliff, he's like, you like your woman to submit? Cliff was like, no, he likes a challenge here and there. So Cliff was like, no, I really don't want a submissive woman. I like to have a little challenge here and there. So no, I'm not with that submissive shit. Michael, I don't know what he said. I don't think he said anything. Glenn, we already know how he feel. He's a dirtbag, so we don't even need to hear his opinion. But then, Matt chimed in. Now, what Matt said, I thought it was beautiful. I liked what he said. Matt said that he does not like to use the word submissive. He does not like to use the word submissive. He said what he likes to do is balance. He rather use the word balance. He said, when his wife is weak in certain areas, he likes to fill in and lift her up and be there in the areas where she's weak. And then the areas when he's weak and he needs to be filled in or uplifted, she feels that void. So basically he's saying they balance each other out. Whatever, when he's weak, she lifts him up. When he's weak, she lifts him up. When she's weak, he lifts her up. So there's a balance. He doesn't like submission, he likes balance. And I agree with him 1,000%. That's how it should be in life. You're supposed to. I mean, isn't that what God created Adam and Eve for? Because listen, Adam was by himself, and God said it's not good for him to be alone. And he created a helper, and then he created Eve. It says right there in the Bible. So, what are we over here talking about submissive for? It does not say, it does say the Bible does speak about submissive I think in I think in the New Testament, I think Paul says, "Wives, be submissive to your husbands." But if we go back to Genesis, though, from the beginning, he didn't say nothing about submissive right there. He said he needed a helper. So that goes to Matt's point. You know, when you're weak, I help you, and then when I'm weak, you help me. You lift me up. You balance each other. That's what God created Adam and Eve. He said Adam was alone and he needed a helper. He needed somebody to balance him out. So what Matt said was beautiful, and I agree with him 1,000%. All that other shit that Cedric is talking about is BS. That's just a weak, self-centered man like him and Glenn type shit would say, you know. So Tamara said that she loved his answer. She agreed with him, and then it seemed like everybody else agreed with what he said too, and that was a good answer. Next, we have Selena. So he Carlos asked Selena, or he, talked about Selena's um, scenes on the show. He asked Selena if she has any dates set for the wedding, and she said she does. It's supposed to be sometime in April 2026. She didn't say 2026, but I'm gonna say that because the reunion happened sometime, this year. So she said it's gonna be in April sometime, but she said that can change. And they were like, that can change. What do you mean that can change? And she said, because Michael likes to come in late. He likes to come in 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning after being out in the club or whatever the hell he be at. And she said, she doesn't like that. And then Carlos asked him, is that true? Do you become, what time do you come home? Do you come in late? And he's like, yeah, two. And he was like, two what? And she's like, and then he's like, yeah, yeah, two, 3 o'clock, yeah. I mean, I was laughing during that part because for one, he's sitting behind her because Selena, she's tall, she's a big girl, not a big girl like fat, but big boned, a tall girl, and he was like sitting behind her, and he kind of looked like he was squished in, and he just looked like a little kid to me, in my opinion, and I feel like he doesn't really care too much to be on the show, but he's on the show because maybe Selena's making him be on the show. And the way he answered Carlos when he was like, yeah, yeah, like, yeah, like whatever. And then when he asked, when he asked them if, what did he ask him? I forgot what he asked them. He's like, confirm. He just looked very uncomfortable. Like he just looked uncomfortable. Like he didn't want to be there, and and um, and the way he talked or whatever, his mannerism, he just looked like he didn't care. And also, the way he answered Carlos or answered her, it seemed very dismissive, and like he basically he was just like, I'm just here because I have to be here. I really don't even want to be here, but we shall see. But hopefully they get married though, because I do like them together. In spite of her saying that he comes 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what he doing 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, but maybe he still think he's a young man, he's a YN or whatever, and he just wanna live his life um, in the clubs or whatever he be at till 3 o'clock in the morning. So, but Selena, she's a strong woman. So after a while, if it's not serving her, she seems to be the type of person that I was talking about earlier. If it's not serving her and it's not um, she's not getting the love and the respect that she wants, I could see her dropping him like a hot potato, unlike who. So, so then Latrice says that she want to have a child, but she's scared to have a child because she doesn't know. She doesn't want to have that pain because Selena lost her child, she lost her brothers, and she don't ever want to feel that pain of losing someone. So that one of the reasons why she hasn't had any children is because the fear of losing them. And Cedric said something that was really kind. He said, step out in faith. Um, if you want to have your own child, go ahead and have your own child. Step out in faith, and whatever it is that she chooses to do, he said that we will support you the same way we supported Selena. We will be there for you. Don't fear. We'll have your back. Step out in faith. And then that was nice. Everybody said that was a really nice thing for him to say, and it was a nice thing for him to say. But I kind of feel like the way Marie was looking at him, boy, please, I feel like Marie going forward is gonna try to pretend like she have a problem with Latrice because of Letitia. So Cedric, he's being kind and saying all these things. I felt like once they got off stage or they went home, she probably told him, "No, and what the hell? You need to stay out of their business." Like I feel like she said something to him, a word or two, because the way her body language, that's what he gave off. So then they go back again, child, to the scene, the pool party scene. Um, so Carlos brings up the pool party scene, and so Latrice said when the old Belle left, or he said the Latrice submitted for Amanda and two other women. Latrice is telling us that she submitted for Amanda and two other women to be on the show. And they didn't pick none of them, I guess, because we didn't see none of them. And Amanda, they didn't pick her to be on the show either. They just used her for that mess. They just used her and abused her and kicked her to the curb. Um, so then Letitia, because she thinks she's the star of the show, she's like, yeah, anybody that has that's gonna come for me is gonna get some TV time. So basically, she's trying to say that Amanda got some TV time because she came for her and Glenn, and that's why she was on that show for a hot second because she's not a cast member, and they just used her for that DM storyline, and you didn't see Amanda after that at all. Like they quickly threw her to the side and threw her like she was a piece of chicken on a when you were driving and you litter. That's what they did. Used her and just threw her. And so Letitia Buffalo Bill is gonna say, well, if they're coming for me, they know they're gonna get some story time. Like she's the star of the show. Like she's Nene Leakes or like she's Melody Cherie or like who do you think you are? I was like, girl, shut up, But whatever. And you needed her story. You needed Amanda just as bad as Amanda needed you, So don't sit up there and try to act like um you didn't milk that storyline as well. Y'all both milked it. So then Glenn says that he's trying to raise a black male in a two-parent household, and he said that his son is computer savage. I mean, savvy, computer savvy, and he's able to see the stuff online about him mistreating his mom. Glendale, you need to shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. Because all of this is your fault. And you over here talking about your son's going to see it online. Yeah, because you did it. He wouldn't have nothing to see if you didn't do anything. you know, see no evil, hear no evil. I mean, so you over here saying that it was nothing. It was like you're speaking to yourself, you dumb. Ugh. Oh my God. Stupid. Just stupid people. And it's like, and then he blames the Rogers. So then he says that he blames the Rogers to a certain extent because it happened in their home. And he said that if something like that was happening in his home, he would have put a stop to it right away. First of all, the Rogers, Cliff didn't have nothing to do with it. He didn't know anything. So stop saying the Rogers. You can just say Latrice. And then Latrice only knew about the DMs. She did not know about the questions. So take accountability for your action. No one is to blame but you. You are a big joke. You and Letitia are two big dummies. And if your son sees anything, that's because of your actions, not because of someone else. So please take accountability for your action. Letitia then says um uh because she's the Belle's bond, right? She said that she had a call because an incident happened at Taste, and she is saying that Cliff and she's trying to apply that Cliff and Letitia was fighting, and so she knew about the incident because she got the phone call, and she told whoever called her, I guess the police were over there or the police were called. She told them that she's gonna go over there and talk to them because she knows the owners. So basically, that didn't even have nothing to do with the conversation, and she just threw that in there to let everybody know that Cliff and Latrice have been fighting. And she been crying this whole entire season about people putting her business and coming for her in her marriage. But what did she do there? She did the same thing. Um, she's full of shit. But then, like I said, that's what I think next season. That's what's gonna happen. Next season, Letitia is gonna come for Cliff and Latrice. So then Carlos says he wants to see the DMs. So he starts to read the DM text messages. Basically, Letitia said that they erased some of them because it's not the same. I mean, it's not all the what she saw. Because Carlos asked her, "Is this all what you saw?" And she said, "No. There was more, and either Letitia erased them or Glendale erased them. Somebody erased them." And then Letitia's sitting there arguing with Letitia, going back and forth about the DMs instead of letting Glenn, you know what I'm saying, fend for himself. Not saying Glenn need to argue with Letitia and go back and forth, but she was sitting there defending the DMs, and she's like, "Oh no, me and Minda went through these. These are the same ones. We have the same ones." Like, she sounded pathetic. She sounded like a joke, and I couldn't take it. I couldn't stand. I can't hold your husband accountable. And she says that um, she holds her. Latrice told her to hold her husband accountable, and she says she holds her husband accountable for everything. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You big ass buffalo looking ass lady. And he's sitting over there next to you, and you're just over there looking like a damn fool. You better not have not one event for woman empowerment. You better not. You better not. And then Letitia's like, don't sit, Latrice said, don't sit here and blame me for something that your husband did. And she's right. So then Glenn kept asking Latrice if she wrote those questions, and he's like, "Why would you write those questions? And why would you have, this event going on in your home? And you so called supposed to be our friend." So then finally, Carlos comes to her rescue. Finally, after all this, Carlos says that Latrice was not there when those questions were written. That Latrice did not write those questions. He didn't say who did it, but we all know he's talking about production. So Carlos knows for certain that Latrice did not have anything to do with those questions. And my thing is like, why did you let this go on for so long? Because it was a storyline. Because it was a storyline, and they're probably all in it, and blaming Latrice this whole entire season. And Glenn kept going on and on. Why did you write that? Why did you write that? Instead of being like, man, I messed up. I should have never jumped in that girl's DM. I did, and I made a mistake, and we could have squashed it and moved on. But Carlos finally vindicated Latrice. Um, and then so Carlos asked Marie about her opinion. So Marie says she does not like how the way Latrice handled it. She says she would have handled it differently. But she did say that Letitia does deserve what she's getting because she have told Letitia to leave Glenn alone and have been, there for her through the ups and downs when it comes to Glenn. So she said she doesn't feel sorry for Letitia, and I was actually happy to hear her say that because I don't feel sorry for Letitia either. She deserves everything that she's getting from Glenn because you're a big old fool and you're putting up with his BS. So So then Letitia gonna say, I know I have a big back, but I can't carry y'all motherfuckers on my back. And she said, all is fair in Belle Collective. All is fair in Belle Collective. And I'm like, okay, so what is that supposed to mean? What is that a threat? So I feel like when she was saying all is fair in Belle Collective and I have a big back and I can't carry y'all motherfuckers anymore, she is saying next season, Letitia and Cliff, I'm coming for y'all. If I have to make up some shit or whatever, all is fair in love and war, she's coming for you guys. And then apparently, she has a friend that's coming onto the show. Shout out to Millichan. I had seen on Millichan's channel that Letitia does have a friend that's coming to the show, and she is pretty. So I feel like that friend is probably going to be somebody that's going to say that she has been having an affair with Cliff. Watch what I tell you. she's gonna say that she's been messing around with Cliff or something. Cliff DM'd her or something. It's gonna have something to do with Latrice and Cliff, because I feel like Letitia is gonna be vindictive, and is gonna try to come after them. Because who else is she gonna come after? She's not gonna do anything with Tamara. She already did that before. She's not gonna come after Marie because that's her friend. She's not gonna come after Carrie because Carrie's her friend. Because Carrie came on the show through Letitia. So, and the only person she has beef with is Latrice. So when she said that, I was like, damn, like she's making an announcement and she's making a threat. Letitia is a big fat joke. She is. She's a big fat joke, and Glenn is a big fat liar. And they're both deserve one another. And they they they, they stress you out when watching the show. They're just two big ass dummies. So the reunion ends with the men leaving the stage, and then Carlos has just the girls, and they toast to a drink, and then he also gives Carrie a bell, and he welcomes her to the Bell Collective. So that was the end. Only thing I was gonna say is Carrie, I hope that you give us something next season, but I don't want her to have any problems with her marriage because I do like her and Matt's relationship, and they look like they have a good marriage. So if she comes on talking about her marriage, we're gonna know it's fake because you can tell they have a good solid marriage. Um, so if anything, they need to show us some things that's what's going on with their restaurant, maybe some of their staff, kind of like the OG. Kind of like how Candy had it with her staff at the restaurant, something like that, or her family dynamics or something like that. We don't want to see a false story about her marriage. And Letitia, go kick rocks. So that's it. That's all. This is the reunion for season 6 of Bell Collective. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what are your thoughts on this reunion, and who was your favorite dress and your least favorite. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.